So you're only as good as your last performance. And that's my personal mantra. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what you have achieved. It doesn't matter what you have said or done or anything. You're only as good as your last performance. It doesn't matter if you've done it great a million times.
Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Build, the podcast where innovation meets collaboration in the world of construction. We bring together thought leaders and industry experts to explore the cutting-edge ideas transforming construction equipment, supply chains, building materials, and workforce productivity.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Faro, the revolutionary last-mile logistics platform, redefining how high-value, time-sensitive construction deliveries get done. Need it fast? Need it right? Faro.
Today we're joined by Jasmine Ariano, branch manager at Sunbelt Rentals, a leading equipment rental company serving the construction industry. Jasmine has over 7 years of experience at Sunbelt and more than a decade in construction, where she has excelled in overseeing sales, service excellence, fleet maintenance, and logistic operations. As an engaged and passionate leader, Jasmine has consistently delivered growth, aligned and mentored high-performing teams in the competitive rental and construction sector. She is also dedicated to fostering team morale and engagement. Today, we'll be discussing her experience in leadership, team management, and the unique challenges and opportunities faced in the construction, logistics, and equipment rental sectors. Jasmine, welcome to Beyond the Build.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Just tell them that you're on a safety WebEx. So it's like we have a regional safety WebEx, so I have to be really focused.
No, you tell them that she's on a very important podcast, Scott.
Yeah, I've been telling
the
them. I've been
truth.
telling everybody I'm on the podcast today. So everyone's like, "Oh, it must be fancy." And I was like, "Well, we'll see how
Very
it is.
fancy.
I'll let you know after."
Yeah, just tell them you're like, hey, we're going to be famous. Well, at least I'm going to be famous. And maybe I'll sign
I told
your autograph.
Carlos and Tristan, he
Yeah.
came by the other day and I was like, look, I'm going to make sure mine is like the only one that has like the most views. I have 7 computers here at the store. I'm just going to go replay.
Just throw
put
a
'em on
loop
loop.
up there.
There you go. You could
Famous, yes, I
hijack the
am.
algorithm.
So we told everybody about Sane and Faro. Go and follow them on Faro. So hopefully you got some uptick on that. LinkedIn, social media, I love it. You get to see a different side of management, get to see a different side of who we are, what we do, the rental business, because it's not just, go. Sometimes we get to have fun too. So we get luncheons, we get different little avenues that we can look at, and we get to showcase that because that's our page on LinkedIn, that's our page on our personal profile. So they're like, I want to work there too. And at the end, that's all it is. Want to have people to be here.
Yeah, motivated people go a long way. And I'm surprised I hadn't heard this sooner, but one of my favorite new sayings is, I'd rather pull someone back than push them forward. I'm not sure if it was you that said that, Scott, or it might have been Carlos or someone else, but it stuck with me, and I was surprised I hadn't heard that expression before. But having motivated people on the team, it's absolutely essential.
Yeah, it's a brand awareness, like you were saying, Jasmine, because like some stories for me, I was in rental, I'm still connected, right, indirectly, for 2 decades, right? And when you would come out of the rental like sphere and talk to people that did other professions, you would tell them like, oh, I work for a rental company. And they're like, oh, so like tables and chairs and stuff like that. Like the concept of what we did and what we do, the only way you can do is get the brand awareness out there. And be like, no, we get to like hang out and like boom lifts, reach forklifts, dump trucks, like, the stuff when you were kids and you wanted to smash it and throw dirt on it in the backyard. Like we get to do that every day. It's not like DJ equipment and, tables and chairs, but it's like, they don't know. They're like, oh, I don't even know what Sunbelt Rentals is until they actually go find it and seek it. So these platforms help just bring awareness to your point. Like, no, it's actually really fun to work in this chaotic but controlled environment where we're not landing planes, but sometimes it feels like we are.
Organized chaos. That's all it is.
Totally.
Organized chaos.
Yeah,
We always say
I call anyone.
if you can handle being in a rental for like a year, you can go work anywhere.
Yeah.
That's fair. Whenever I visited branches, I always called everyone firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's especially on holiday weekends. That's what it is. Yes, firefighters.
Yeah, constantly looking for smoke and chasing down fires. Trying not to start more fires than you stop. Hey, I've got to ask. Whenever I see someone in their office, I'm curious about the stuff that they have in the background and if there's any stories behind it. So I naturally am drawn to some of the what looks like dolls on one of those shelves.
I got a whole bunch of goodies up here. So, little by little, I became the trinket girl, and then it just grew. So, in the rental business, having the die cast, that's top level. You have a die cast, what? And they're branded, and so you don't get those. And back in the day, I guess they used to be super popular. You got them, you do something, or you were able to buy them. Now they're really, really hard to come by. When I was on the counter, that was just one of those. I want one of those, and it was just me being a blabbermouth. And, my sales reps, I was able to help them big time, and they were like, "What can we do to, show appreciation? Where you wanna go to lunch?" And I was like, "I can get my own lunch. I have to eat, but I don't know where to get these die cast." And I had 3 sales reps that kinda came together, and they bought me one, and then little by little, another sales rep was like, "Hey, if you want something done," became a dispatcher. They were like, "What can we do?" I was like, "Give me a die cast." And it was just, one of those things you go hard and see if something sticks, and little by little stuff started sticking. And I became the trinket girl, and then little stuff. They're like, "Hey, this is branded from our company. Add it to your wall." And now I have all these goodies. But the dolls are actually part of an old show. So think of the Mexican version of I Love Lucy. So these are all the dolls from a show in Mexico, and that's how I got them. So
You should do is start dressing them up in like safety vests and like harnesses and stuff like that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And be like,
that would
see,
be funny.
How's your sewing?
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not. I can cut, but no, not so.
yeah,
Uh,
throw some safety harnesses on or some of them. And be like, see, yeah, this is construction related.
Yep,
yeah.
bam.
I have a Tonka trunk that we spray painted, like the plastic one. We spray painted it green and put a little Sunbelt logo on it. So it never made its way
Nice.
out to a truck, but that was the intent, to put it on a truck.
Oh, yeah, make it look like you're
Yeah,
strapping
tie
it
it
down on
down.
the big. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna get one of those AI dolls that they're putting my face on
Yeah,
and say, "This is me with my wave."
yeah.
Yeah. Can you put
All
me
right.
like Miss Congeniality, the sash and everything, a
You can
crown?
do
Yep.
everything, everything.
World peace.
Love it. Yes, please.
That's a great movie, by the way, Miss Congeniality.
Which one or two? Because
I
One.
never saw the second one, but I love the first
One.
one. I love that they got Michael Caine to be in there, and he plays everything so well, no matter what he does. And then Sandra Bullock just does a fantastic job being
Yeah.
this hyper masculine female that has a pretty decent arc as a character. I
so
hadn't seen that
JP, it's
before.
funny when Jasmine was telling her story. This like ties into like the rental. So when they were approaching you, you were a dispatcher, right? Okay. And so here comes the sales and the relationship building that happens in industry, whether you're a customer, whether you're a sales rep for a rental company, whether you're a dispatcher. The key is they were like, how do I make Jasmine my best friend? How can I call her at 4:30 and say, is there any way we can get this at 6 a.m.? And she's like, is there any way I can get a die cast?
It's a give and take. It's bottom line, it's just a solution environment. Is someone always has a problem, and everybody's role is to create a solution. Whether you're the rep, whether you're on a counter, a mechanic, in management, or even the customer. The customer has a problem and you need a solution. So what do? They seek solutions, and that's hopefully where we're at. So we're the solution people that make things happen for you. And that's crazy because that's our slogan here at Sunbelt, make it happen. And we just make things happen, and it just rolls off the tongue, unavoidable, but it just does. And we really live by it. But yes, it's how can you make someone work for you or work with you to get the same common solution, the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
How
how
long were
you-
you a dispatcher for?
I was a dispatcher for 3 years.
Oh wow, good chunk of
Yes.
time. So that's the majority of your initial time here at Sunbelt. Was that because I think not every Sunbelt uses central dispatch. Was that for a branch or branches, or were you at a central
Yes.
dispatch?
So I was at a branch. Central dispatch came after I became a branch manager, but originally we were all dispatchers at the store itself.
And what was the equipment that you moved? Uh, what was the majority? Were you specialty branch or was it gen?
No, I was a general tool location, but we were the convention. So we saw it all. We saw forklifts, man lifts, the electric carts, pallet jacks, and electric pallet
The
jacks
pallet jacks.
and pallet
Was that
jacks.
a particularly stressful item? Sounded
Well,
like
yes,
it.
because everybody and their mom is like, "Oh, pallet jack," and then you take them to a convention center, which is multi levels, and a pallet jack fits underneath a crook and a cranny, and you're trying to pick up 40 of them, and you're missing 7, and then you're trying to find 7 pallet jacks in 12 stories of crooks, crannies, a little storage area, and then let me take it to the dock. Well, which dock? What do you mean, which dock? Well, each level has a dock. So, pallet jacks and forklifts, because everybody has a key to a forklift, scissor lifts, all of that stuff. Everything the convention needs, he had it. And it was not just 1 or 2, it was 20 of them.
And like, yeah. And they're all suggestions. People put their names, like, right, duct tape on them, like, oh, I belong to this company. You're like, yeah, you're not here. Like scissor lifts, I'll just take your control box off and use it on mine. And then I don't know what happened to yours. Right? It's just, and then you talk about power, stuff like that, cable being distribution, spider boxes. I mean, it's an ecosystem out there. And if one thing goes down, then everybody's in panic mode. And now you're trying to, create a miracle from dispatch or operations. You got a sales rep going, my customer's calling me, we have this issue. How can we get it solved like yesterday? Dispatch, you're going, well, I have 7 of my trucks and they're already on other deliveries. So this is a solution I can give you. Well, that solution doesn't work for my customers. So can you give me another solution? Right. And you're in this constant, like you said, this state of chaos. I always go back to like air traffic control. I need to land the plane. Well, that runway's full. Well, I need to land the plane. Like, you got to figure it out. And you're like, well, you're 4th in line. Well, I need to be 1st in line. Right. And so, Jasmine, as you can remember being a dispatch and even currently today in your role as a PC, it's like, who takes priority? Like the national account, the strategic account, the person with the broke down piece of equipment, the new sales rep that's like, it's my first account. And if I don't get this order, then I'm going to lose the customer and we're never going to be able to get a rental from them ever again.
It's my most important customer.
Everything, the most important customer. And you're going, okay, which plane has the most passengers with the least amount of fuel that we have to set down at the moment?
That's how it is. Biggest thing is your conversations and your engagement with that rep. And sometimes it's never a no, it's a not right now. So, like you said, which has more customers or which has, something that's going to blow up and it's going to come back and make a bigger mess. So you gauge by how much of a mess is it going to make and how much of a strain on a future or later on endeavor is it going to put. So all the customers are important. All the sales rep was like, it's my most important customer. I was like, it's my most important customer too. But I also have 3,000 other important customers, and it's about having that straight up conversation and being committed to what you say. If I told you 3 o'clock, I better be there at 3 o'clock because I gave you my word. But at the same time, if something's going to go awry, being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, this and this happened, or this kind of fell out of control and I need you to buy me an hour, or I need to buy an hour. How can we make it happen? But on that moment as well, since something came up, we have to be able to give a little. So, hey, we're not going to charge you delivery, or we're going to start your rental the next day. How can you make it better? Because things happen and things will always happen. There's stuff that we can't control. There might be a wreck on the highway, driver flat tire, or something started leaking, or even the unit itself. Everything was perfect. Those is always the best times, Everything makes the checkout line. It's good to go, polished, clean, ready to go, loaded up on the truck. As soon as you turn it off, you're tying down. There goes a leak. all down the tire, everywhere. You can't take that. What's that going to do? It's going to mess up everything that the customer may be doing. What if there's brand new concrete that was just poured? Then what? You have to go get it all cleaned up. You can't take that. You have to start over, find a new one. Well, there's none available. Can they use something bigger? It's about being able to navigate that conversation. That one is going to be rough, but two, what can you do to make it a little bit more digestible? Because no one likes to get thrown something last minute. It's those curveballs about having the engagement and being ready to be proactive to offer something when something comes up.
Yep. That communication is vital. I found is people know that construction never goes perfectly. There's always stuff that is going either wrong or just differently than planned. And as long as they know about it, usually people are pretty okay with it, because they expect something to be wrong or something to go awry. But nothing seems to make people more upset than when something goes wrong, but they don't know about it. That's really where friction really begins, where it's like, okay, where's our generator? And you don't find out until hours later. It's like, oh, you're not getting a generator today, and nobody told them that. That's a great way to lose a customer.
But then also, if there's no communication, when you do find out, you can win them back if you have the right game plan. It's like, hey, I know we messed up. I know you're not going to get something today, but how can we help you in the long run? You're just starting out. You needed a generator because there's no power on the job site. You're going to need something next. How can we help? And that's where you make yourself available of being humble. I messed up, but give me another chance. Give me another chance. Let me deliver this other one on time. And making sure you can turn around with your dispatch team, your management team, and everybody else. Hey, we messed this first one up. Let's make sure this next one is ready to go. Let's make sure there's everything set up and we have a game plan to make sure from start to finish, we get it there, and even at an earlier time if possible. So accepting the defeat, but going with that defeat and knowing you got to do better, whatever that's going to entail. Like, make sure we have something lined up. If we need to get an outside hauler, Pharaoh's available. Let's get him ready. Let's get him ready. Let's go, because we need to get there for the next chance. Because sometimes the second chance, it's gonna make or break you. Because first impressions, yes, absolutely, they're always gonna have that sour taste in their mouth. But if you can continue to give them, sugar and honey the next couple of times, it's still gonna be there. But they know you can do better, or you have a different avenue that you can pursue. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
delivery.
unfortunately, we don't know anything about ever making a mistake or needing to be humble about anything, right, Scott?
Spent my career trying to figure that out, and it's like Jasmine was saying, it's about the delivery, right? And I'm not talking about the actual physical delivery, but the delivery of the message, right? Rental, and I'm hoping we can find a good balance with as way society is evolving, but we can't lose sight of these relationships, whether they're internal or external. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just all people trying to get a job done to the best of our ability with the resources we have available, period. And we have to understand we're on the same team, right? Whether that's sales and ops working as a team to serve a customer, or the customer utilizing their supplier as part of their team to get their job done for their customer, right? And what we have to do is, unfortunately, but fortunately in rental, you have to be malleable. Because the examples, Jasmine, you were talking about is there's certain things that are out of our control that people might classify as an edge case. And in this industry, that's an everyday case. It's like we don't work in a vacuum where everything is put perfectly. There's so many outside circumstances, but that message and how we reinforce the solution will then dictate how that customer receives the information, whether positive or negative.
I've heard this multiple times again, and I live by it and I laugh about it because it's true. They say there's no real definition about insanity. I was like, it's the rental world. And the runner world is insane. That's the definition of insanity. It's like, well, it's everybody says the cliche, it's doing the same thing every day and expecting a different solution. That's literally who we are. We're insane. Anybody in the runner world, anybody in logistics, I would far to say, is insane. Why? Because we show up every day thinking we can go from point A to point B and deliver point A to point B like nothing, but we can't. There's so much going on. Even though you have the same route every single day, something's going to be different. Are you going to get the red light? Are you going to have enough fuel? There's an accident. Oh, somebody decided that they're going to close the lane down because there's, I don't know, a pothole, something. We do the exact same thing every single day, expecting a certain solution or a certain delivery, a certain whatever, but it's never the same. It's never the same.
It's never the same. And it's how you overcome those, right? Because you go back to lack of control. I mean, Jasmine, how many times have we where a customer will order something and maybe their purchaser in a different state was ordering for a job site, and they might got a model number wrong, or they ordered a incorrect height of an aerial lift, right? So you go to deliver it, and let's say it is first on, last off as you do the orders, and this is your first delivery. And let's call it a Z45, a boom, right? It's on the back of your tail. You're dropping it off. The customer's like, darn it. I don't need a 45. I needed a 60. I can't take this unit. So now you have a driver sitting there and going, okay, well, I got a couple options. I either leave it and then go do my other deliveries because I have more on my deck, or I have to reshuffle the entire deck and put the boom on the front and then move, let's say, the backhoe to the back of it. Well, that takes time. And now you have this hourglass going, hey, your customer at the backhoe is expecting this in like an hour, but you've been on this other job site for an hour and a half. Like, what's up? Not even considering that's one part of like 7, because the other thing, and when Jasmine, you're back in your dispatch role, you're like, no, these first 2 deliveries should have cleared you by like 9 a.m. because we have another one for you to pick up at 11 to get there at 12. And now this domino effect goes into play, and you've got like 17 other deliveries going with 4 other drivers, and you have to completely reshuffle the deck because you had one instance in the morning at 6:30 because there was a mistake based on the height of the machine.
And that's the beauty of it, though. I think that's what, after being insane and everything, that's what brings us back. Okay, let's go. What can we do? What can we do? And for me, that's the thrill. That's what I love. I love to be able to communicate with people and the customers and say, all right, well, we got you something. That's not what you need. There's no way I can get something to you next. Look at his truck. You see some more stuff on there. He's got to get there. And that's what we talk about. It's crazy because we just had that conversation with one of our dispatchers of, they were saying they're having some difficulties, drivers calling out. And they were like, well, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to say as far as challenge, but did you challenge that they can't come in, that they're sick, that this is that? It's like, yeah. And I was like, well, you need to remember, drivers, they can't just leave their job and it'll be there for tomorrow. That stuff has to get delivered. The customer doesn't care if you have 2 drivers or 30 drivers. They just care that they get their equipment. So when someone doesn't show up, someone either has to be ready to jump in or we have to make some new arrangements. And you have to have those conversations with the drivers. You're the most important person we have. Because of you, we can get things done. And without you, things are standstill. If I leave, my work pile is going to stand on my desk, as well as a counter. Someone else is going to pick up the phone. If a mechanic is out, someone else is going to check it out. But if a driver is out, what do? You can't deliver it. I don't have the license. I can't jump in. I can operate it. I can get it to your truck, but I can't load it. I can't strap it down and then get in the truck and go and deliver and unload and unstrap and everything. It is big, big, big impact when that happens. And not just, that's another thing we can't control, but to have that conversation with your drivers and say, hey, I need you because you're the hero in our story. You're the hero at the store to make it happen. Go get us this customer satisfaction. It falls on you. So that's what's crazy.
Yeah, that team collaboration is huge. I'm sure you guys go through it every day, probably daily safety meetings or huddles, right, at your branches. What Jasmine, you're explaining is, I call it like one piece of the puzzle, right? because the whole picture or the whole puzzle starts with how, number one, the rep communicates, right? Do you have windows of time? Is it always everything has to be 6 a.m.? Do we have anything between 6 and 9 that's acceptable? Right? Then it flows into the operations team. Do we have all the correct information, on-site contact, streets, right? PO number, everything that the driver is going to need. Then it basically flows into, once that's done, does the service department, are they understanding what it needs? What's the right attachment? Is it smooth bucket? Is it tooth bucket, right? Auxiliary power, right? Did they have it staged properly? And did that mechanic do all the checks and balances? So to your point, we don't have an unexpected, oops, I've forgotten to tighten that fitting, and that's why we're having a leak while it's on a job site, which requires now everybody to come out, swap out, and you're like, we could have just turned in another a quarter turn, right? Everything basically cycles and it has to be perfect. I mean, not to the point where it's like perfect, but everybody's got to do their part and realize that you're all important. Like, this has to all come together. You can't just put a corner piece of a puzzle in the middle and say, I'm done. Like, it just doesn't fit. Like, put it where it needs to be and own it, right?
Everyone has something to do with it. That's the biggest part. Everyone's important. It's not just one person. Everyone's important. And the biggest thing I tell my team is do your job. It's so cliche. It's so, simple, but that's the simple part that kind of gets us. I was like, if you do your job, then everybody is nice, calm, and streamlined because the counter's answering the phones, they're taking information, they're handling, making sure we have something sourced. The driver's going to pick it up, the mechanics are checking it out, they're getting it ready to go. The sales reps are out there making those customer relationships happen, making sure that they're willing to call us and get it going. And then if everybody does their role, it comes in one by one, little by little, and then one by one, they all go out. And so everybody is important. There's not one person who is more important or less important. We may need someone a little bit more, like a driver, but overall, everybody's important because it's all about the team.
Yeah. It sounds, on the heels of that, it sounds like you're pretty passionate about that idea of a team of individuals. And I'm curious on what your take is on how do you prioritize the team's morale and engagement in such a fast-paced environment where things are always moving so fast. How do you, or what do you do to kind of stop and remind people, hey, we're together?
I'm a big believer on leadership over management. I lead my people. I'm not willing to put them in a situation where I would not want to be a part of. I'm big on family first. This is why we do it. We work for our families. We work for our family to have a better life, better opportunities, or even be a part of something that we didn't have. My girls dance, so I definitely have to work. I have 3 girls. They all dance competitively, so it's a pretty dime getting that going, and that's just my personal, the reason why I'm here, but I love it. They love to dance and they love, that's what they do and they're happy and they're passionate. So that's what makes me happy. So my sales reps, he has boys. They like to play basketball. I'm a big engagement person. I talk to them. I see them. I have an individual. I don't have a mechanic. I don't have a driver. That's their title. But I refer to them by name. I talk to them as Eduardo, my mechanic, my Michael, my sales rep, Mariana, my counter. They're a person. First and foremost, they're a person. Family comes first. That's why we do it. And once you get past that of, okay, great. Now we have a common denominator as to why we're all here. So let's get that bread. How do we do that? By doing our job. Let's do our job. Get it done. And that's where we're at. Now, let's just say little Susie has a something at school they need to be a part of. Dad needs to be there. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to be there. Therefore, okay, get your stuff done so that way when tomorrow there's nothing pending for you. Now, if there is something pending, make sure someone knows. So the other aerial tech knows about this unit needing a harness, this unit needing new tires, whatever it is. Someone needs to know, but we have constant communication. We do a 2:00 power up. Power up is our team Sunbelt's way to stretch, flex and stretch, kind of have a little area of just engagement where we do our stretches, and then we talk about, okay, this is what we need it done today, or this is where we're at. And sometimes it's not about anything. It's about, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Or y'all ever thought about going to Venice? And it's like, why would you go to Venice? And it goes off into something else. And then they come back the next day. You know what? After I was thinking about it, I would not want to go to Venice. I want to go to Hawaii or, something random. And we're just like, what? It leads to different things and kind of seeing where their mind goes and kind of gets them away from, oh crap, I'm actually working in labor and it's intense and it's hot and this and that. But then they go home, and it's funny because one of my guys came back from home. They're like, hey, my wife talked about, going to New York, and we were talking about New York one time, and it all stemmed because someone brought it up. It's being able to provide a little bit of foundation, not just at the workplace, but at home. I am known to be more of a voluntold person, not a, hey, let's volunteer for this. So we do company Christmas cards. And I'm like, all right, you need to pose like this. I'm not posing. Oh, come on, just real quick pose. 2 years ago, we did snowflakes, but it was ourselves. We got a 60-foot boom up in the air. Everybody laid down, so they're all like splat. And we looked like human snowflakes, and they went home, and wives are like, how come you do this at work, but you don't pose for our pictures? I was like, you just got to tell them, do it.
Girl, because they give me a check, you take my check.
Yeah.
There's a
I'm not going to
difference.
join that conversation. But, enticing them like, hey, come on, it's just a picture. And, part of the little work banter. What are you doing? You mean you can't do that? Come on. And then it kind of eggs on the fun competition. Hey, Eduardo couldn't fix this. And it's like, let me do it. Let me show him how it's done. And that's where it stems. Little by little, they get comfortable and start the banter, and it organically grows on its own. And then from there, everybody's happy. And why are we here? We're here for my family. It's not I'm here for a paycheck. And they can talk to you about that rather than, I'm here for work. I just work here. So
Yeah, I like what you said about the banter, because that's something that you can't force. It for whatever reason, the image that popped in my head was a restaurant. You go to any of the best operating restaurants and you step in the back house. If you go into the kitchen, it is not dead silent with everyone just grinding away at all their little jobs. It's people yelling, laughing, shouting at each other, razzing each other. Even when things are really busy, they're communicating and trying to mix in a good time while they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's being genuine. I mean, when you talk about restaurants, there's a movie that came up, like, it's called Waiting. It's a little bit raunchy on the back, and you don't want to show it to many people because you're like, I don't want to ever eat at a restaurant. But, Jasmine, finding out the why, right? Treating people like humans and getting them comfortable, it starts to build this trust factor. I remember when I was in sales, like, majority of the people, if you get them opening up and they feel comfortable, they like to talk about their accomplishments, what they built, their kids, what they're interested in. And if you take a personal vested interest in their story, they're going to give you so much information, and you're going to go, wow, I like that too. Or it just gets you to understand what motivates them. So when you're in that point where you're going, do I have to voluntold this person? You now have a human connection and saying, hey, you know what? Can we do this? And they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's do this. Because now you have this trust relationship, and every company goes through the same, I say, struggles we've talked about on previous podcasts. I call it the 3 R's, right? Which is recruitment, retainment, and recognition. Like, that's really what it's all about. It's like, how do we get them in? How do we keep them? And how do we make them feel valued and seen? And it starts with leadership, like you said, not management.
So that right there is one of the things that they started holding me accountable, was because it's a give and take. Like you said, it's recognition is the last one. And my guys get recognized all the time here at the branch level, but I'm always past the branch. And I was like, hey, let's be the number one safety store in the district. Now that we're there, we're known as that store. You better have all your PPE on, because my yard guy's going to call you out. My mechanic is going to call you out. And other stores are like, "Ooh, don't want to go to that store because they're gonna call you out." And I was like, "Hey, that's okay. That's okay. We got to be known as something, and I'd rather be known as a safe store." And from there, Sunbelt does weekly safety meetings where they have videos sent out to every location, and we watch them. We have a topic, and we go from there. My guy started holding me accountable and said, "Hey, you wanted us to be the best store in the district, and now we're there. Now they know us. When are we going to get recognized? Why aren't we on those safety videos?" I was like, "You're right. Why aren't we not on those safety videos? We have a beautiful store. Our facility is very gorgeous. You look at it, it's not like one of those rental stores that you would see, just equipment, this and that. We actually were part of a acquisition. So this used to be a Six and Mango dealership. So it is a beautiful facility. And they're like, we have the store, we have the cleanliness, we have the PPE, we have the structure. Why aren't we on that?" And I was like, "You're right." So they started holding me accountable. I want to be famous. Let's go in. And we got in touch with the marketing team, and now we can definitely say they've been on a couple of safety videos. But when you talked about that, once they feel comfortable and they see the value, they see how they are affecting not just themselves, their peers, but here at the other stores in the district, then they're like, "Hey, we're actually doing something. Let's get recognized." So when you talked about the 3 R's, that's so true. And it's a give and take. And so we pushed them, and now they're on the Sunbelt news every week.
People say it when they're not in the room, right? Your legacy is not just who's in front of you and the feedback you get, but it's the conversations when you're not there. The people that recognize you when not having to come up and say, "Wow, good job." They're like, "I want to be like, or can we achieve this?" That's where you start saying, "Okay, we're truly winning." And then, you talk about the safety thing, and one of the things that sometimes you don't get recognized, and you have to be okay with that. So when we started Faro, being from the industry, knowing the urgency levels, the type of equipment, the edge cases that we were talking about, right? We knew that safety was paramount, right? It wasn't a priority, it's a value. And one of the things that we do is we have to balance the reasons why we hold safety in such a high regard, which could have repercussions if we don't adhere to it. So like one of our policies with our hauler partners is PPE, right? We want to set ourselves apart from any other vendor to say, no, we require the PPE, and it has to be on. It can't just be in the car, because as a branch wants to call it to make sure they're safe and your people are safe, we take that feedback very seriously. And sometimes those are hard conversations when we tell haulers, saying, "You showed up to a location and you didn't have on your safety vest, but it was in the car. I understand, but it has to be on. So here's the hard conversation. You will now be suspended from the Faro platform for 30 days because you didn't wear your safety vest." But it was like, "Oh, that was just that one time." I know, but it's that one time, it's like I was texting or I was doing something. The one time could be the last time. So we take a very hard stance of saying 30-day suspension. You can then get back on the platform after. But if you have another incident, we have to part ways.
That's what I tell everybody. You're only as good as your last performance. And that's my personal mantra. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter what you have achieved. It doesn't matter what you have said or done or anything. You're only as good as your last performance. I was a band nerd back in high school, and that was something our director would always say. And that just stuck with me, because it doesn't matter if you've done it great a million times. The last time that you did it, you did not do it up to par, or you did not do it great or as well as necessary. And that's what they remember, because that's what you last did. So you're only as good as your last performance. So if we did not deliver on time, yeah, we're late all the time, because it only takes one. Yeah, they never deliver. They're never there. They're always late. They're always late. Sir, it was one time. It was one time. But nope. Like I said, it's got to be able to take that approach and move from there, because now, as much as it sucks when you go all the way to the bottom, that just means you have so much room to grow, and you can grow it in a different way and build something better than what you had before. But you got to do it. You got to go back and you got to try, and you gotta learn and you gotta take the criticism and accept the defeat. That's my biggest thing I've ever heard was accept the defeat. And it's what you do after you had the defeat that's going to set you apart. So learn, grow, and redo it. Redo it the same or redo it differently. Maybe it wasn't the approach that you needed to change. It just something happened and you should do it again. But again, that's part of being insane in the runner world. Sometimes we just do it again and we do it again and it's fine until it's not. And then you find another way to do it. Doesn't work out. Redo it again how you were. Just going back. Go back. Faro is a great partner to have our equipment back on rent. Why? Because we have central dispatch. Sometimes they have other priorities. They have the customer needs. It's summer. It's busy. It's busy, busy, busy. So having to accommodate just a pickup of one unit from one place to another or bring it back to a store for a quick checkout, it's hard. It's hard to put those in there. If we can get you guys to come out for a very, very affordable price, we can put it back on rent for like $150, $175. That's how much your going rate is here locally. We can get it out here and we can get it out to them. So as a manager, any manager, I can probably say they'd rather pay $150, $200 even to get it back to a store, get it flipped available, get it back on rent. So we can make money off of that. That's what it comes down to, money. So it's not about, oh, well, let me go get approval. Let me go get this, or I got this, or a customer's been waiting, customers this, that. No, call Faro, call them up. Do, 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 do. That's all on the app. Easy. Pick up, delivery, bam. $200, it's done. Add it to the work order, close. That unit is back on rent. Same day or the next day because it's summer. Somebody needs it. We have a need. You're right there. You're our partners. We can make it happen. Just so simple.
Yeah, it's not Sunbelt storage. It's not Sunbelt repair. It's Sunbelt rentals. We have to be able to rent it, and we can't rent it when it's down. So I'll put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
What's one of those war stories that, you go back to where someone maybe cut a corner that either you could or could not control, and you had to basically bring the team together, solve the problem to make it right? Like, walk me through that nightmare.
I'm going to share something that's maybe not the war story that you're looking for, but it made me learn to be a better leader. Because this is in my early times where, you're young and you're like, I got this. I made it. I know it all. That I take back to value, and it goes back to telling me, hey, how do you look at your team? Was a driver. He was delivering a 60-foot boom. Sunbelt is known for putting safety first. Safety is one of our biggest priorities, and we're very, very passionate about that. We even have a whole safety week, throughout the summer to make sure everybody's engaged, and that's something we don't play with. I had a driver who was delivering a 60-foot boom, went on the job site. A customer took a picture of him, no harness, no hard hat, no gloves. His truck was turned on, no wheel chocks. It didn't seem to be like a super steep slope, but it was enough that you could see it on the picture. And delivery was, I thought you guys cared about safety. I care about safety. That's the only reason I rent from you guys. And this is unacceptable because this is all of my employees are seeing this be delivered like this. My initial was like, get your butt over here now. We got to go. This is that, whatever. Bring them in. You're heated. You're like, what the heck, man? What are you doing? Like, it's what you do when nobody's watching. Everybody's always watching. Everybody says that, but there's someone always watching. Someone's always watching. Breaks down. Man, my brother-in-law is in the hospital. This, that, whatever. It's out of my control. I'm sorry. I'm not thinking. My wife and I are struggling because of my brother-in-law. Tears. The amount of times I've seen grown men cry, you don't think about it. It's the runner world. This is the manly business. Nobody cries. Men don't cry. That's false. It's false. Completely broke down. It wasn't even work related. And I felt like crap because I was ready to chew his butt off and say, you need to go home. You need to go this, that, never come back. This is a fireable offense. You have to wear a harness. You have to do that. And it made me realize that, was it me? Am I pushing them that I pushed them so hard that I told the driver, nobody can do your job but you, so you have to show up and do it, that they felt that they owed me to be here, that they felt that they had to be here for me. Because at this point, it's me leading them, telling them, I need you. I'm the one being that advocate. I need you. You're the one who's going to make this delivery. You're the one who's going to do this. That I failed to look at him as a person, that I failed to figure out, are you okay? Are you, what's going on? Looking past that. Work with a lot of men. Men's mental health is something that is taboo. You don't talk about that. You don't listen to that. And it's one of those like, that's the incident that made me realize, holy cow, you're not just dealing with the person in front of you, but that person's livelihood, their family, and they're already struggling with that brother-in-law. Had something happened to him, now it was not just the brother-in-law, but it was himself. Could he have been hospital-ridden? A situation to his body that he can't provide anymore. That was one of my biggest war stories that I say that made me be like, holy moly. And I know that's probably not the one that you were kind of looking for, but yeah, anytime that I get the chance to talk about that, that's my go-to, because these people are people. These drivers are people, and these mechanics are people. We had somebody who was doing some stuff and they're not supposed to be doing that. That could have ended badly. And, it's how was I going to be able to call that person's family and say, this happened? And I was like, I never want to be put in that situation. So that's why I'm passionate about making sure I know my team. I know what they're going through. And, I don't need to know everything. At the end of the day, I was like, hey, maybe there's some stuff I don't need to know, but at least know enough to be able to say, oh, something's wrong. And that goes a long way. That goes a long way.
No, that story is actually perfect, because I think it brings full circle what this industry needs, right? And when I talk about the industry, it's construction, right? We have the rental side, we have the building material, we have the contractor, we're, OEMs, right? Logistics, it all works together to make something happen. But all those industries have something consistent, right? It's people getting things done. And as the world continues to move towards artificial intelligence, we all talk about AI, we all talk about how advancement, like we cannot lose sight of doing a temperature check with the people that are around us. There's a funny commercial that I can't remember where I saw it, where the guy has a toaster that's done by AI. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. I can't remember where I got it, but he goes to one of those virtual boards like in Minority Report, where he can put the temperature of the toaster through this like virtual board and then, push it down with his finger without even touching the toaster, without even touching it. And then the toaster shows him a warning that it's getting hot. And he's trying to like flip up the screen by not touching the toaster to get it to pop up. And he's going like this, and he's trying to basically do it over and over and over again. And the toast is literally burning. And his wife comes in, touches the toaster, and just pushes the toast up. And it's like, we cannot rely on technology for everything, right? And where that full circle comes back in is like you're talking about this individual. It's understanding their why, checking in with what's going on with them personally, right? Men don't do it. It's not even a man thing. It's just like we get so busy in our lives, whether it's taking the kids to dance, right? Whether it's I got to get to the work, or is dinner made, or I've got to make this appointment or something like that. We run so fast all the time that sometimes we fail to do a temperature check with the people that we care about and who are closest to us. So to land this kind of plane where it's like, I would say good rule of thought, and I have to take this as well, is check in with yourself. Try to figure out how you're doing. Check in with the people around you to figure out how they're doing, so that when you run into a circumstance where you have to make a decision and try to understand the why, you have more content. And you're not just reacting to the situation. You're going a little bit deeper and going, hey, what's going on? How did this happen? And what can we do to overcome it?
Like you said it, we're in the people business. That's all it is. People needing people. And we're the people. So how can we help?
It's so ironic. It's like when we started, like for me, like started a tech company. I spent more than 2 decades in the equipment rental industry. It's like, I didn't know anything about tech. You can tell me all this code stuff. I'm like, I don't know. Just give me the biggest Lego with the least amount of like tops on it where I can just set it together. Like all the other noise, I'm like, just get it to work. And that's sometimes what the customers think too, is like, can you just get me my piece of equipment? Like, I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes and I appreciate it, but in my mind, I think you have everything on a shelf, all washed with a ribbon with my name on it. So when I call you at 4:30, I'm already expecting you're waiting for my call to deliver it at 6. Like, weren't you waiting for my call?
Yeah, that's how it is. So I have a lot of them in a perpetual shelf that you don't see, but I'm waiting for the call. How I get it there, that's why I call you guys.
Well, believe it or not, we've crushed through almost an hour of chatting, and it's been a really nice, relaxed conversation that led to a lot of really good places. And I really enjoyed the conversation, Jasmine.
Thank you. Yes, this was different. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little like, what am I gonna talk about? Who am I? But no, this was like you said, it was relaxed. I think I came in a little nervous about it, but this was fun at the end of the day.
Who else do you think that would enjoy telling stories that you know of?
So I think there's this guy named Drake, and he is a veteran, and he's done it all. He's been a mechanic. He's been on a service truck. So he's gone job site to job site. He became a service manager, and now he's a branch manager. So, and that's all within like 5 years. So he's gone through the ranks, and I think he would be a great candidate to kind of tell you a little bit of everything of going from being a soldier.
A literal soldier, not just, I thought you remember. No, you're saying the euphemism like being a soldier at Sunbelt, like, just being one of the boots on the ground, one of the grunts. But he was a real guy. Okay.
Yeah, so being told what to do, no questions asked, nothing, like you just do it. And then coming out into civilization is that's what everybody says, like coming out into civilization, having options, being able to kind of decide for yourself, and then just growing and seeing different aspects, being behind the scenes, being in front of the customer, being literally on the front lines, and now going back to overseeing the back of the house, and now being, again, that liaison between the customers and the rest of the store. I think he'd be a great candidate for this and kind of show his aspects of what he's seeing, what he does, and what he knows, because everybody knows something, and that's what makes this industry so beautiful, because as long as you know someone, you're golden. That's it.
Great. I'll make sure to follow up, and we'll get his info, and appreciate the recommendation. Well, cool, folks. Thanks again, Jasmine. We'll wrap it up here, and it was an absolute pleasure. Scott, as always, thanks for jumping on as well, and hope you have a great, well, it's 4th of July for those watching, weeks or weeks from now. So have a fun, safe weekend. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was fun, and happy 4th. Enjoy the fireworks.
Well, everyone, that is a wrap for today's episode of Beyond the Build. We took away some real valuable lessons and insights, and I hope that you did as well.
If you enjoyed this episode, we would ask that you subscribe so you can never miss an update. If you're a thought leader looking to innovate in the construction industry, let's talk. We'd love to connect and hear your thoughts.
You can find Beyond the Build on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, plus anywhere else that you listen. And if you'd like to learn more about how Faro is changing logistics in the construction industry, please visit our website at faronow.com.
Once again, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, be humble, serve others, and make an impact.